All month, we've been looking back at some of the top ag law and tax developments from 2023, and more importantly, lessons learned from those issues. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now as we enter his top 3 developments. Good to have you with us, Roger. Coming in at number 3, no surprise, is California's Proposition 12 at the U.S. Supreme Court. Walk us through the highlights of that.
Well, good to be with you, Tammy. In 2018, it was California's voters that passed Proposition 12 that said that any pork that's sold in California had to be raised in accordance with California's standards there in terms of their housing requirements for hogs. Now, the law was actually broader than just application to the sale of pork products. It covered other agricultural meat products in particular, but also poultry. And they're basically telling other states that you have to raise the hogs properly if you want access to our market, which is about 13 or 14% of the entire pork market in the United States. Now, the interesting thing about this, one of the interesting things that is that California produces very little, if any, pork products. And so their rules didn't have much of an application inside the state of California. It was primarily the impact was all outside of the state of California. And what that brought up was what's known as a dormant commerce clause challenge. Now, the Commerce Clause of the Constitution doesn't impose any restrictions on the ability of a state to do something in the absence of congressional action. But the court over the years has said that states can regulate commerce in other states that as long as it doesn't disrupt the national economy. That's what the Dormant Commerce Clause is. But here they said in a 5-4 opinion, they dismissed the case. They didn't get to the merits in the majority opinion. They said that the case was pled so poorly, it wasn't properly pled as a Dormant Commerce Clause case, so they just dismissed it. But that didn't mean that some of the other justices didn't take the time to write separate opinions. They did, and so we have some pretty good guidance going forward.
And of course, this has been such a huge issue in the ag community with concerns of one state being able to enforce laws in other states. What would you say is the big takeaway here from a legal standpoint?
Well, the big takeaway, I think, I get that from Kavanaugh's opinion. He wrote separately to say that, boy, if the lawyers in Dormant Commerce Clause cases would learn how to actually plead their cases to state a claim, we could hear the case, because he was really concerned about one state continuing to do this type of conduct against another state. So, for example, Iowa could retaliate against California. Texas could retaliate with some products that they don't really raise, but other states do. And so he was concerned about that. And so he fired a shot across the bow of the legal profession saying, learn how to plead your cases correctly so we can hear them. This was a botched case from the start, according to Justice Kavanaugh. I think that's the big take home out of this.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So any expectations for Prop 12 moving forward? I know at the American Farm Bureau Convention, they were talking about possible ways to have it overturned.
Well, they're not going to get in my view, they're not going to get the decision overturned. It would have to be congressionally done. And the way to do that is go back to the 2014 Farm Bill and look at the provision that was included in the 2014 Farm Bill that would bar states from doing something like this. Provision was passed, I believe it was in the House version of the 2018 Farm Bill and then dropped in the Senate. So the place to do that, and this is the year we're debating a Farm Bill, is to stick it in a Farm Bill and be specific as to what states can and cannot do on this particular issue. And I think that's the way to do it. It'll take congressional action.
Definitely will. That's Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. Appreciate that update.